Howdy campers. Today we're going to talk about programming for families as one of our programming special topics. We're going to focus kind of specifically on the four-season family program. The Air Force is a little different than the other services when it comes to the number of women in service as well as our rates of married service members. We do have the highest percentage of women in the armed forces, both on the officer and in the enlisted side. We're also a very married branch, and there's an old saw about recruiting singles and retaining families. When we looked across the spectrum of services activities that we offer, we found that we're actually pretty good at breaking up families. Now, I don't mean in terms of breaking up marriages, but in terms of taking the kids off for one kind of program, teens off to a different location, parents off to yet another location. And we didn't have very many activities that were designed specifically to support the whole family. And there's a real need for family recreation in the armed forces. We all know that the ops tempo has been very high, multiple deployments over the last decade or so. And we know that there is a direct correlation between resilient, happy, well-functioning families and retention. In fact, a couple of studies out of Air University have looked specifically at that topic and established that link quite clearly. So the question I want to put before you is look around your installation and see how is your community doing? How are the families at your installation holding up? If you talk to people about what's important in their lives, family will be right up at the top of the list. And the question is, are we doing things that help people walk the walk and not just talk the talk? Do we provide them those opportunities to put their families as a priority? We also know that there's a crisis in the United States in terms of obesity for both adults and children. And if you want to dial in on some very useful statistics and take a look at the trends, I'd point you to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website that specifically focuses on that topic. Anybody out there feeling a little rushed or pressed for time these days? Yeah, we're all kind of going 90 miles an hour, and trying to find the time and the place and the space to be with our family is a challenge. I'm kind of old, and when I was growing up, nobody scheduled play dates. You got thrown out the door and on the weekends, and you were told to be back in by dark. Nobody scheduled appointments and play dates. It was also a little bit more common to find the time for the whole family to sit down together as a group, typically over meals. That's a challenge today with the heavy levels of scheduling that a lot of children have as both a benefit and as a challenge. We're not the only ones who have been thinking about the importance of getting families into the outdoors. In fact, kind of the seminal book that was published in 2005 is Last Child in the Woods. If you've not read that, I would really recommend that to you. President Obama signed the Great Outdoors Presidential Memo back in 2010, which led to the Surgeon General of the United States promoting outdoor recreation activities as good for the nation. The National Recreation and Park Association, of course, has a number of partnerships. One of the current ones that we're kind of tied into is the National Park Trust's Kids to Parks Days. That led to the Buddy Bison Great Outdoor Adventure Program, and you're going to see more along those lines. Probably the largest organized network promoting getting kids back out in nature is the Children in Nature Network, and the link is there available to you. And look around your local communities. Our C3s and our partnership folks should be tuned into what local parks and rec agencies are doing. An example is the Families Connect to Nature program that Boulder, Colorado offers. When we looked at the needs and the available resources, we decided that we needed to take some action, and we developed what's called the Four-Season Family Program. Now, it's primarily a promotional umbrella. It's not a specific activity. And it's very simple. It's designed to get whole families enjoying outdoor recreation on a regular basis. To be an official Air Force four-season family installation, You only need to do or offer one activity for whole family recreation per season or quarter. If you've got some winning programs, like your fishing in the swimming pool program or a base camp out, you can just put that in under the umbrella of the four-season family program and you're good to go. What we want you to do is really focus on programs that directly offer that opportunity for family interaction and participation. There are three basic goals to the four-season family program. Make sure that there is a time and a place for them to recreate together. Give them some options so they know what's available and how to enjoy these different activities. And then provide a chance to learn some of the basic outdoor recreation skills so that they can go and do these activities on their own as a family. Outdoor rec being the overachievers that we are, we want to sneak a few secondary goals into the program. One is, this is kind of the broccoli is good for you message. We want to make sure that parents understand the importance and the value of their family spending time together in the outdoors. People in the Air Force move around a lot, and they may not be living near extended family, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. So what we want to do is provide opportunities so that when family comes to visit, that there are opportunities for that intergenerational connection. We also want to do a little bit of cross-selling of all the different things that outdoor recreation offers, the kinds of equipment we have, our off-base rec areas, our rec lodging, all those sorts of things. Because environmental stewardship is kind of one of our core principles, we want to make sure that we're building leave no trace principles into everything we do. That way the kids and families that participate develop that awareness and sensitivity to protecting our natural resources. There's a fair amount of literature in the research industry about the benefits of recreation, and in particular outdoor recreation, to families. The benefits of outdoor recreation for families is fairly extensive, and you can click through this list of benefits and impacts that these activities will have on families. So when we launched the four-season family program, we provided a few different things to help you make this happen. First off was the File O Fun. And I challenge you to look around and see if you can find in your facility or your building the File of Fun. There weren't very many resources for whole family programming back in the day, and this was one of the few that was available. It's essentially a 4x6 index card-sized box with a list of 200 activities on individual cards, and along with a leadership booklet that talked about how to run the activities. We also put out Training Aid OD15, the four-season family program. That's been updated a little bit since then. Also, we have a range of downloadable posters and the individual graphic elements available for the four-season family program. More on those in a minute. We also provided some sample incentive items. We're going to be talking about incentive items and using those to create loyalty to the program, and we put the logo on a few items and provided those just as an idea, as an example of how to scale incentive items. The initial posters were built on phrases and statements that most parents have either said to their kids, or if you're too young to have kids, you probably heard your parents say. The challenge was we're using the prime real estate at the top of the poster for the words of wisdom, and we weren't really focusing on selling the individual activity. So in 2018, we introduced kind of the revised or new four-season family poster theme and graphical template. We're now using, instead of the burlap, a sandstone-looking header and footer. We've taken those words of wisdoms off the top so that you now can use that prime real estate on the poster to specifically market the activity. We're keeping the four-season family logo because that is what we want to use to help people quickly identify the nature of the activity. You can go to Download Central on the Services Installation Support portal and download all the materials you need. They're very easy to customize. The Air Force Standard Desktop configuration includes Adobe Acrobat Pro DC, and that's all you need to open up and edit those documents and drop in your individual pictures to customize these posters. The standard fonts are also included in these download files, and you may need to get somebody with administration rights to let you install those standardized fonts. The new Four Season Family posters come in both flyer and tabloid formats, so you can use those as you see fit and at a size that you find most beneficial. Remember, as you customize these pictures, to keep inclusion in mind, and if you've got some good sample photos that you can put into those posters to help all our customers see themselves in those activities, please do that. Here's an example of how you can use these poster templates. This one comes from Minot Air Force Base. They took the existing poster that depicted horseback riding, and they dropped in their program information down at the bottom. That's all they had to do to have a ready-to-go promotional poster for their horse trip. Let's continue the shout-out to the folks there at Minot. They used the same graphics, look, feel, and graphical elements to create their trifold brochure. And you can see here that they've got the fall, winter, and spring events using the same style and logo and fonts that we have for the program. Notice down in the bottom right-hand corner, that little dotted cutout section. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let's focus on some tips for success when programming for families. First off, define your target market. To just say, I'm going to do a program for families is not good enough. Is it families living on base? Is it families affected by deployments? Is it a program for families with little kids or teenagers? All families are not the same, and not all activities will appeal to the same, all the wide range of family types. Make sure you have an activity that's going to draw the families in. It's got to appeal not only to the parents, but the kids, and write good ad copy so that you sell that program. There are ways to offer some freebies and some swag that might help entice people to come out or help make that program more memorable. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And then try to focus on ways to incentivize return or loyalty. Remember that little cutout section on the Minot brochure? Well, here's what the flip side of it looks like. It's a little punch card or a mark-out card, and for every program they attended, they would punch or mark the card, and that would change the level of incentive item or swag that the customer got. Continuing on with our tips for success, always make sure that the customer gets photos, whether that's they take them themselves with their phone and you have a photo frame or a photo pose station. Make sure that they are building memories with pictures. Take a look at your outdoor recreation equipment inventory and make sure that you've got kid-sized and family-friendly gear. Do you have child backpack carriers? Do you have bike trailers? Do you have half bikes? Child-sized paddles? All those sorts of things to make sure that everybody in the family can participate. Offering food as part of a family program is a winning strategy. If you can get the parents to say, I don't have to cook and clean up, that's an automatic win. Be sure you're aware of all the other kinds of schedule conflicts that might be out there. You need to know the school schedules, what the youth sports schedules are, what the church youth programs are up to. Make sure that you know when to offer these programs to draw the customers. I naturally overprogram. That's just the way I am. And sometimes you need to step back and keep it very simple. Maybe all you need to do is have a campfire and an opportunity to roast hot dogs and marshmallows, and that's a win. There are a lot of interesting barriers to participation that kind of sneak into family programming participation decisions. And sometimes it's not the kids, but the parents who have these concerns. So, for example, safety. If you have a parent who is not a good swimmer, are they going to be inclined to sign up for a canoe trip? Maybe not. Sometimes we market our adventure activities in such a way that people are worried that might be too challenging or too difficult. You don't want to do that with family programming. Family programs can have a fitness component to it, but this is not to be an epic death march. You want to sell these things as fun and enjoyable. People will go to the gym if they want to get a workout with their family. Social linkages are key to getting participation. You ask kids if they want to go do something, one of the questions you'll always get is, who else is going, or can I bring a friend? Play to those strengths and market in ways that draw on natural social linkages. It might be within a housing area, it might be within the schools, it might be within the church community. But if you can reach people who already have social linkages, they're more inclined to participate in your programs. Sometimes parents are worried that they will look foolish. I have news for those of you who do not yet have children. There is absolutely nothing you can do to prevent that. You are going to look foolish to your kids, so you might as well embrace it. The other aspect, if you flip it on its head, is if you have an activity that the kids know how to do but the parents don't, that's a powerful experience if you let the kids lead and teach and show their parents how to do something. There was some interesting research a while back about camping and women's attitudes towards camping. And there is a stereotype floating around that women don't like to camp or be out in the dirty outdoors. Well, when they took a good look at the actual attitudes and thoughts about camping among the female population, they found that's not true at all. What women were not too keen about was having to do the cooking and the cleaning and the normal chores in the outdoor setting without the amenities. Now, hopefully we've evolved a little bit past that, but take a look at what's going on in your activities and make sure that the campsite workload is getting distributed among all the participants in an equitable fashion, not only between men and women, but children and adults. I've got 2 boys, and I think on my tombstone it's going to read, "Leave your brother alone." Not all activities are appropriate for families with kids of wide age differences. So take a look carefully at what you're offering to determine if that activity will scale well for families with kids of different ages. Things like building snowmen or sandcastles can do that because you can just mound up a bunch of snow if you're a toddler, and you can get quite elaborate if you're an artistic teenager. We all know that video games are extremely popular with kids. You can't necessarily eliminate video games from their lives, but maybe you can use their natural interest in video games as a hook or an addition to your programs. So, for example, this is dating things a little bit, but the Wii U and the Wii systems had a balance board that you could use for skiing and snowboarding games. There's a large number of fishing and hunting-related video games. There are disc golf games that you can play. Maybe you can bring one of those systems along with you on a family ski trip and set it up in the lodge for after hours. Or conversely, you can start offering those games maybe over at the youth center and use that as a lead-in hook to getting people to come on an actual ski trip. In general, all family recreation is beneficial, but some are more beneficial than others. So some things to keep in mind are you promoting physical activity? Now, again, we're not trying to make this a workout, but getting people walking and moving in the outdoors is good for health. Are the family members all doing the same activity, or did they all go to the park and split up and go off and do different activities? Some activities are done in parallel, but without much interaction. Again, we want to focus on giving families the chance to talk and interact and build those shared experiences. Now, I'm going to stereotype again here a little bit, but parents have an amazing ability to suck all the fun out of a particular activity. You maybe have seen that in the youth sports arena with the screaming parents on the sidelines, or maybe the ones who are watching their child on stage in a play or performing music and putting a lot of pressure on them. So let's be careful that we don't make this a a pressure situation where parents are correcting how kids do an activity or make it no fun. Again, one of the key elements of this program is to help families build those shared memories. Now, if you have teenagers, they will be outwardly giving you the whatever attitude and feigning indifference to an activity. But really inside, this is getting cataloged in that shared family experience. And it'll come back and be part of their family talks for years to come in surprising ways. I have done some work as a scout leader, and we had, I guess I would call it a death paddle. What was supposed to be a nice couple hours on a river turned out to be like an 8-hour slog. And my son, who's now a grown adult, will still talk about that experience. So even if it's not a wonderful day in the outdoors, it can be a memorable day in the outdoors. Now again, all these activities that families do together are generally beneficial. So we're not saying they're all bad, but what we really want to do is make sure what we offer gives that opportunity for interaction. Remember our earlier discussion about incentive items or swag? Let's take a minute and kind of walk through some guidelines to make the use of incentive items as successful as possible. First off, don't buy junk. Cheesy, flimsy things that break or wear out immediately, that's a waste of money. We also want them to relate to outdoor recreation. There's all kinds of little weird things that you can give away, but if they don't tie back to outdoor recreation, waste of money. Got to keep the cost very low. I think $10 is about the limit for incentive-type items using your non-appropriated funds. The other goal you want to have is make the incentive items scalable. So the first time they participate, they get a little thing. The next time, maybe it's a little bit cooler, so on and so forth, as you work kind of way up towards kind of the most desirable incentive item that you offer. Now, some things are too expensive to offer as incentives or loyalty items, but that doesn't mean you can't brand them with the Four Seasons family logo and then sell them. You can even make them an exclusive item so that you have to have participated in 8 activities before you even have the chance to buy the highly coveted Four Seasons family day pack. It should have some sort of utility or fun value. You know, a beach ball, clearly fun. A little fanny pack that you can put your keys and wallets in when you go on a family hike, very useful. In today's society, people are very brand conscious. So they don't want just any old knockoff water bottle. Be aware of brand sensitivity and look for opportunities to use the sought-after products as your branded items. We also want to be able to put our logo on it, the Four Seasons family logo, so that it becomes a walking advertisement for all our programs. People will see those, they will use those, they will remember the Four Seasons family program. The Four Seasons Family Training Aid lists a whole range of possible activity ideas in the back, and you can kind of click through this list and see if you either already offer those or you might be able to offer those at your installation. Here's another list of additional program ideas that might work for your installation. So where else can you come up with ideas for Four Seasons family programs? Start with what you currently offer. Do a little brainstorming with your staff. And if you're lucky enough to get to the National Recreation and Park Association conference, walk around that vendor's exhibit hall with a Four Seasons family mindset. Take a look at what kinds of equipment or resources you might be able to get to help support your whole family programming efforts. And then use our Facebook group to share those successes. If you've come up with a winning program, put it up there, share some pictures so others can benefit from your success. I want to take a minute to focus on a specific four-season family program, one that we launched under the R4R program a couple of years ago, but is still continuing to go strong. That's the base camp program. There is a supplemental training aid that goes along with the four-season family program on the base camp. It's a very simple concept, an on-base one-night campout. Families can bring their own tents and camping equipment, or Outdoor Recreation can provide camping equipment packages or at no cost at all. The goal is to simply get families to try camping in an easy, low-threat environment. It's great for families in units who are just returning for deployments, for reintegration, and it's also a good way for families who don't have much experience in camping to get a taste and maybe learn how to set up tents, how to prepare food in a campsite environment. It's also a great opportunity to partner with others in the Force Support Squadron, such as Arts and Crafts, or the libraries can provide a storyteller. Be creative and reach out to the other partners in your squadron to see how they can help support your base camp. Now, this picture could be awesome. Mom is awesome just as well as the example that's there. It captures the joy on that kid's face as they share an experience with a parent. It doesn't have to be as exciting or adventurous as surfing, but building those links with your kids as parents is one of the greatest joys that anyone will ever have. So get out there and put some programs together to give those families those opportunities.